Reactive training systems.
So at this point, it's possible that you've included more variety in your training, both from the perspective of an off-season and the perspective of more interesting style deload weeks in your training. So if you want to kind of keep this higher level of variety programming going, how do you do that in your main training periods and also still develop your strength? Because, I mean, after all, competitively, that's what we're after. This is going to come at 3 different levels. The first level is the training of the competition exercise. And specificity is, regardless of what's popular, specificity is the main driver of your training progress. You have to train in a way that's specific to what you're trying to develop, and the most specific way that you can train is by using the competition lifts. So especially when you're in these developmental stages of training, you're trying to develop your strength, you're trying to build strength over the mid and long term, you need to train the competition exercise. Doing that gives you technical insights that you can't get any other way. It develops the skill in ways that you cannot really appreciate until you experience it. You know, you might feel like your technique is fine. You feel like your technique is on point. And from a purely technical aspect, maybe it is. But from a sport form aspect, maybe it's not. And so you have to train in a specific way in order to facilitate that long-term growth. In addition to that, we also program a second class of exercise we call assistance exercise. These are exercises that are very close to the competition lift, but have 1, possibly 2 small changes to the way that the pattern is executed so that it targets a perceived weakness. This is where you see things like pause squats and pin squats and things of that nature. Key thing to keep in mind when you're trying to select assistance exercises is think movements, not muscles. What movement are you deficient at? How can you train that movement to get better? So if you squish in the bottom of your squat, what can you do? How can you modify the squat so that you don't squish, so that you develop your ability to sit strong in the hole? If you lack bar path, if your bar path is crappy in the bench press, what exercise can you do that will help ingrain the proper bar path? So you want to think about these things when you're selecting assistance movements. Then the third class of exercise is called supplemental movements. And when we get to this level of exercise, we're kind of shifting perspective a little bit. At this point, it's think muscles, not movements. So what muscle is responsible for me squishing in the squat, and how can I train that? What muscle is responsible for my poor bar path in the bench press? Can it be reduced to poor muscle strength? And if so, how can I train it? If it can't be, what is the weakest muscle group in this movement pattern, and how do I train that? These supplemental exercises are less specific. They're by nature less specific, and that's okay. At this point, we're trying to train things that are less specific, and that will be a long-term investment for you. You know, it's not something that's going to have immediate return on your training, but since it's a different movement, it's something that you're conceivably not as well adapted to. It's going to get you more bang for your buck than just hammering away more sets of competition exercise. There's a limit to your ability to adapt to anything, and competition exercises are not exceptions to that. So I hope this sheds a little light for you on how to include some movement variety in your training if you don't do that already. I think it's really important, and I hope that this helps you train better, train longer, and ultimately set a PR, which is what we're all after.
Reactive training systems.